What if I told you there was a person similarly whom you kept coming across in your life for a divine reason? You may have tried to move on, to turn the page, but each time they kept coming back into your story. What's really going on? What if Allah were to say to you, "Don't give up on this soul I keep choosing for you. Stay with me, because what you're about to understand could change the way you view love, encounters, and spiritual patience." There are souls you meet in your life, and some never disappear. They return again and again, like an echo in the silence of your days, like a melody you cannot forget. You tell yourself that you've made your choice, that you've distanced yourself, that you've tried to move on, and yet they return. Their traces slip into your daily life, into your memories, into your most secret thoughts, and you ask yourself, why? Why them? Why now? Don't look for chance. Don't think destiny is wrong. This is not a simple alignment of coincidences, nor a play of time or chance. Number. Allah speaks through these encounters. Every return, every reminder, every silent sign you see, it is a divine voice whispering to your heart. And you often hear this whisper when you are alone, when you think no one sees your struggles, your shattered hopes, your unanswered prayers. Look at that strange feeling in your heart, that silent insistence, that gentle tension that pulls you towards someone or something you sometimes refuse to acknowledge. It's there, and you know it. Maybe you try to ignore it, push it away, believe you have other plans, other choices. But the truth is, you don't always choose what Allah chooses for you. You think you're moving forward freely, following your own path. But sometimes these souls, these people, these situations, they catch up with you because Allah has decided that your path is incomplete without them. And that can be difficult to accept. Your heart has its wounds, your mind its doubts, and your ego refuses to submit to an invisible force. It can neither touch nor control. But that is exactly where the beauty of the divine lies. Because true guidance doesn't shout, it whispers. She invites you to feel, to observe, to understand in the silence of your soul. When these souls return to your life, it's not to torment you, it's not to make you suffer unnecessarily. It's to remind you of something you may have forgotten. That this connection, this person, this situation, has a meaning that only Allah knows perfectly. Think about your past experiences. How many times have you believed a door was closed, a dream was lost, a relationship was over? And yet, months, years later, the same path, the same gaze, the same soul resurfaces in your life. This is not a coincidence. It is not a mistake. It is a divine repetition, a silent writing in your destiny, Allah's way of reminding you that some connections never die. They are simply maturing, transforming, waiting for the perfect moment to blossom. And this repetition, this constant return, is often accompanied by a strange feeling you can't explain. A mixture of familiarity and newness. An inexplicable peace mixed with a thrill, as if a part of your soul recognizes something greater than yourself. Something you cannot control but feel deeply. This is exactly how Allah speaks to the pure of heart. Through signs that reason cannot always understand. Through emotions that surpass logic. Through encounters that seem impossible but have always had their place in the grand design. Don't let your mind convince you that this return is a trap. Don't let your pride persuade you that you must resist. Because these souls, these moments, these situations are not there to limit you. They are there to help you grow, to elevate you, to polish your heart and strengthen your faith. They force you to make a profound choice, a spiritual choice. Do you trust in Allah, even when your whole being resists? Do you accept that some things are too great to comprehend, but perfect to experience? And as you feel this tug, this gentle yet persistent tension in your soul, listen carefully. There is a language in these repeated encounters, a silent but powerful language. Allah speaks through what you see, what you feel, what you sometimes refuse to acknowledge. And this language doesn't need words. It doesn't need immediate answers. It simply asks that you pay attention, observe, feel. Let your heart hear what your mind cannot yet explain. So look around you. Observe the subtle signs in your life. Those small coincidences, those moments that seem insignificant but always return. The person who always appears when you least expect them, or that silence that seems to answer you. These are whispers of destiny, messages from a creator who is never wrong. Imagine for a moment. Two souls meet in a world filled with noise, light, and distractions. They don't always recognize each other immediately. Sometimes they brush past like two shooting stars in the night, just close enough to feel each other's warmth, but not close enough to fully unite. They continue on their way, believing the distance is permanent, that this connection is simply an illusion, a mirage of the soul. And yet, something compels them to return again and again, as if the universe itself were breathing to bring them together. Each encounter is unique. Each separation seems like the end of the story. You say to yourself, this time it's over. I must move on. It's time to turn the page. And you walk, heavy-hearted, eyes full of memories, believing that you are the one choosing the path. But destiny doesn't work that way. Life, as Allah wrote it, doesn't obey your plans. Souls are like rivers. They can be diverted, slowed, but never completely stopped. They always eventually return to their natural course, because Allah has already traced their path since eternity. Imagine those moments when, despite all your resistance, you find yourself face to face with that person you thought you had lost forever. You feel a shiver in your body, a mixture of wonder and fear. Your mind searches for rational explanations. How is this possible? But your heart, above all, understands. It recognizes the familiarity, the echo of a bond that has never been broken. It knows what your reason still refuses to accept. Sometimes you don't choose. Sometimes you are the one chosen, with this soul, with this person. And this choice is not by chance. It is not measured by human logic or social conventions. It is measured by destiny, by divine wisdom, by invisible lessons that are revealed only at the exact moment Allah has planned. Every separation, every absence, every moment of solitude is not a void. It is a preparation, a purification, a time when you must learn to understand your heart, to recognize patience, to accept that not everything belongs to you. You believe you are in control, but true control lies in the trust you place in the one who created you, who sculpted your heart and your path with a precision you cannot even imagine. And yet, how often do you fight against this invisible flow? How often do you refuse to see what is so obvious to your soul? You try to convince yourself that you have a choice, that you can turn the page, that you can ignore these signs, these constant returns. But every time you do, destiny reminds you. A conversation, a look, an unexpected event, and you are brought back to the same point, where you never thought you would return, where your heart, silently, knew from the beginning that you would end up. Imagine that these encounters are like the wind. You can't stop the wind. You can close the window, shield yourself, turn your face away, but it keeps blowing. You feel it in your hair, in your breath, in your entire body. Sometimes it hits you full force, leaving you breathless, surprised, but still alive. This wind is divine will. This wind is the souls chosen by Allah who always find their way to you, no matter the detours, no matter the obstacles. And you can only feel welcome, learn to recognize its strength and direction. There is a lesson here that many ignore. It is no coincidence that certain people appear and disappear. It is no coincidence that you are drawn to them even when you refuse to think about it. It is no coincidence that every detour, every silence, every absence actually contains a message. This connection was chosen for you, and you are chosen for this connection. Understanding this requires more than patience. It requires a heart capable of reading between the invisible lines, a heart willing to accept that ultimate control is not yours, but Allah's. Think of those nights when you wake up wondering if what you're feeling is real. When your heart says, there's something here you can't ignore. These feelings aren't illusions. They are signs. Subtle whispers from the one who knows what's best for you. And even if you don't understand why it's taking so long, even if you wonder why the roads diverge only to come together again, know that everything is orchestrated with a wisdom you can only gradually perceive. You are tired. Tired to the point that your own prayers seem to echo in the void. Tired to the point that your heart feels like it's carrying weights no one can see. Tired of hoping, tired of waiting, tired of believing that what is meant for you will come to you. Every day is a trial. Every silence a reminder of your loneliness. Every absence an echo of your doubts. And you find yourself whispering, alone in your room or in the stillness of the night, I've had enough. If it were for me, it would be simple. But simplicity is not a path taken by those God chooses for something great. What you carry in your heart is not meant to be simple, because true love, true connection, true destiny is not measured by ease. All that is sacred, all that is truly divine, is shaped through trial, tempered in the fire of waiting, purified in the waters of patience. Look at yourself. Every day, you've tried to hold on to what seemed to slip through your fingers. Every day you've struggled with doubt, with fear, with that feeling of loneliness that grips you when everything seems silent. And yet, despite this fatigue, you continue. Despite the pain, you continue. Because deep down, somewhere in that heart you think is exhausted, you know that what you're waiting for isn't simply a person, an encounter, or an event. You're waiting for the manifestation of a divine plan, something your limited mind cannot yet comprehend, but which your soul instinctively recognizes as essential. There is a beauty in this fatigue, a beauty few recognize. For your heart, even exhausted, is being polished. Every disappointment, every expectation, every silent trial you bear is like a chisel that God uses to sculpt your soul. It's not a punishment. It's not a whim of the universe. It's preparation. A way to teach you to love not in the moment, not in haste, but in depth, in patience, in fidelity to what God has chosen for you. You think fatigue is a sign of weakness, but no. Fatigue is a signal, a call to recognize that your love, your hope, and your faith must be sustained by constancy, not by ease. The heart you carry is a testing ground, not a refuge of comfort. Every beat, every sigh, every silent tear is a testimony that your soul is still alive, that it continues to seek, to believe, to recognize the divine whisper in the chaos of life. Perhaps you've looked around you and seen people achieve their desires more quickly. Their prayers seem answered effortlessly. Their paths seem smooth. And you've wondered why this burdened heart, why this patience tested? What if I told you that what you're going through isn't a punishment, but a privilege in disguise? That every day of fatigue, every moment you feel lost, every moment you struggle to understand, is actually a divine school where your heart learns lessons no one else could teach you. Let me tell you something your mind may struggle to accept. The patience you practice today, even if it seems painful, is the key that will transform your heart into a vessel ready to receive what God has prepared for you. If you give in to impatience, if you turn away, if you give up, you could miss out on the perfection Allah intends for this relationship, this person, this moment. So fatigue is a school, and your endurance is a silent prayer more powerful than 1,000 words spoken aloud. And there is this strange paradox. The weaker you feel, the more your soul is growing. The more you feel like everything is against you, the more Allah teaches you to strengthen your faith, to refine your vision, to understand that whatever is for you will return, and that what eludes you was never meant to be yours. Fatigue then becomes a gift in disguise, a sign of your true attachment, not to things or people, but to the trust you place in the one who knows your heart and your path perfectly. So, the next time you feel like giving up, remember this. What you carry in your heart is too precious to be rushed into. What you seek is too sacred to be acquired easily. And what God has chosen for you, even if the path is arduous, even if your heart is weary, even if your soul cries out with fatigue, always returns, and always exactly when it is needed. Think of gold, pure gold, the kind that shines with a light that nothing else can imitate. But before becoming that jewel, it passes through fire. It is burned, melted, and mistreated until every imperfection, every impure grain is eliminated. It only becomes precious after being shaped by heat, by trial, by the fire that seems intent on destroying it. And you too are shaped by an invisible fire. What if this relationship, this person, this bond you carry in your heart was exactly that fire? This fire that you sometimes perceive as pain, confusion, a trial too heavy to bear. What if this fire weren't there to destroy you, but to polish your soul, to purify your intention, to remove that which is not meant to accompany you on the path that Allah has laid out for you? Every absence, every trial, every distance between you and this soul is not by chance. It is a divine workshop, a sacred space where your heart learns to love, not to satisfy its desires, but to recognize the divine plan, to love for Allah, to welcome what only Allah can command. Think of the precious material that cannot be created artificially. It is forged slowly. It transforms under pressure. And you, through this waiting, through these moments of solitude and uncertainty, are this material. Every intense emotion, every frustration, every breath of patience that seems impossible to give, shapes your heart, as if each trial were an invisible hand sculpting your essence. Look at your impatience. Look at your doubts. Every time you wanted to give up, every time you attempted to turn your back on this bond because the path seemed too long, that is exactly where the fire works. Fire transforms impulsive desire into pure intention. Fire transforms fragile love into solid love. Ready to welcome what is truly meant for you, the ego dissolves, expectations adjust, and your heart begins to understand that everything you expect is not a coincidence, but a sacred process. And there is a profound lesson that many ignore. Fire doesn't hurt for its own sake. It burns to reveal what is precious. It burns to purify. And you, when you observe the distance, the confusion, the emotional pain in this connection, know that this fire is exactly the same thing. It is not punitive. It is revealing. It is transformative. Every sigh, every silent tear, every moment when you feel alone and misunderstood, all of it is part of the divine forge. Now imagine that you are in this forge, but you are not alone. The other soul, the one who constantly returns to your life, is there too. It undergoes the same fire, the same invisible work. And it is fascinating to think that God never forges a soul alone. Each heart destined for another heart goes through its own trials, its own fire, until the moment when the two are ready to meet. No longer with human expectations, with wounds, with fragility, but with purified, conscious hearts, capable of uniting in a harmony that only Allah can orchestrate. Think about patience. Not the patience you say you practice, but the patience that truly transforms your soul. The patience that allows you to remain steadfast in your intention despite distance, despite absences, despite misunderstandings. This patience is like cold water poured over heated gold. It doesn't destroy the fire. It controls it. It balances it. It allows it to work exactly as it should. And this patience, if you embrace it, if you cultivate it, becomes your ally. It becomes the key to understanding that each trial is not an obstacle, but a sign that the divine plan is unfolding perfectly. And then there are the moments when you feel tired, when you wonder if this fire will ever end, when you're tempted to run away, to protect yourself, to give up this connection. These moments are crucial. They are the ones that determine whether you are ready for the next level of your soul. They are the ones that teach humility, faith, acceptance. And remember, fire never consumes what is meant to remain pure. It burns away everything superficial, everything impure, everything that cannot accompany the divine light. So see every absence, every doubt, every trial as a sacred opportunity. Don't run away from the fire. Don't curse it. Don't complain about the heat that seems unbearable. Because it is precisely this fire that makes you a heart capable of fully welcoming what God has chosen for you. This fire transforms fear into courage, uncertainty into faith, loneliness into preparation. What if everything you've experienced so far wasn't in vain? What if every distance, every silence, every absence that seemed unbearable actually had a deeper meaning than your mind can yet comprehend? What if what you considered a waste of time was actually the most precious preparation your soul could ever have made? Think of those moments when your heart wavered, when you doubted yourself, when you wondered if it was all worth it. Those nights when you wake up in the middle of sleep, heavy-hearted, wondering why you continue to hope, why you continue to believe. What if Allah were to say to you, stay. Don't turn your back. This path is necessary for you. These moments of uncertainty aren't there to break you. They're there to awaken you. They're there to prepare you to receive something greater than anything you can imagine. What if this person you keep seeing, thinking about, feeling, it wasn't just someone you loved, but a key element in your destiny? What if Allah had already chosen this person for you, but was waiting for you? Yes, you to become ready. Not just through human maturity, but through the purification of your heart, through the understanding of your soul, through a patience and faith you hadn't yet fully developed. Every return, every small sign, every synchronicity that brings you back to this person is a silent test. Not to test you unnecessarily, but to teach you to recognize the divine value in patience and steadfastness. The question isn't, why is it taking so long? But rather, what are you doing with this time? What are you doing with yourself while this connection is being prepared? What if you looked at your trials from a different perspective? What if these back and forths, these misunderstandings, these distances that seemed insurmountable were actually instruments of transformation? Instruments intended to prepare you to become the best version of yourself. The one capable not only of loving, but of loving with sincerity, with clarity, with fidelity to the divine truth that guides every soul. Because an unprepared heart, an impatient soul, a distracted mind, could never fully welcome what God has chosen for you. Look at your moments of doubt. Every time you asked yourself, why isn't this working? Why me? Why now? What if the answer wasn't a rational explanation, but a silent lesson? Because it's not time yet. Because I'm preparing your heart. Because I'm preparing the connection. Because I'm preparing your life. And who are you to accelerate this divine process? Who are you to turn your back on a connection that Allah continues to send, that He continues to remind you of, that He continues to place in your path at every turn, at every encounter, at every meaningful silence? What if you realize that this waiting, this tension, this uncertainty will all prove that this connection is real, that this connection is important, that this connection is chosen for you? What if every challenge you experience wasn't a sign of failure, but a sign of silent progress? As if every difficulty were a step toward preparation, every tear a purification, every hesitation a chance to strengthen your faith and patience. Now imagine the power of what you are experiencing. Imagine that everything you consider wasted time, injuries, delays, is part of a larger divine orchestration that you cannot even fathom. Imagine that this person, this soul you continue to seek, to wait for, to silently cherish, is destined to enter your life not to fill a temporary void, but to align perfectly with the work God has been shaping since eternity. What if you could perceive this connection not with your limited human mind, but with your awakened spiritual heart? What would you see then? What would you feel then? Perhaps you would sense the depth of every silence, the wisdom behind every distance, the beauty hidden behind every moment of doubt. You would understand that the value of this connection lies not only in presence, but in preparation. That the true reward is not in conquest, but in patience. That the love chosen by Allah is not instantaneous. It is long prepared, carefully crafted, destined to last for eternity. Sometimes it's not the person you're chasing. Sometimes it's not the presence you seek so insistently. It's not the encounter, nor the smile, nor the return you imagine. It's the lesson Allah is teaching you. Every moment when your heart flutters, every silence that seems to last an eternity, every absence that weighs more than anything, all of this is an invitation to see beyond the human, beyond physical proximity, beyond what you can touch or control. Look carefully. Every return of this soul in your life is never a coincidence. Every silent call, every coincidence, every moment when destiny seems to draw you towards them. It's not an endless cycle. It's not a repetition to torture you or make you lose faith. It's a divine reminder. A reminder that certain souls are woven into your story not to possess you, but to transform you. Yes, to transform you. To grow your heart, to purify your mind, to expand your soul. And this transformation doesn't happen comfortably. It doesn't happen immediately or easily. It happens in the invisible interstices of your daily life. In those moments when you feel as if everything is slipping away, that everything is lost, that nothing can return to its place. There, precisely where faith is tested, is where your soul learns to see what the human eye cannot perceive. The hand of Allah patiently weaving a perfect plan for you. Think of the persistence of this bond. Even across distance, even across time, even through doubts and wounds, it continues to exist. And it is not you who keeps it alive. It is not your desire, your expectation, your hope that preserves it. It is divine will. It is Allah who never allows what is meant for you to be destroyed by obstacles. What God preserves, even distance, even silence, even the heaviest trials cannot destroy. And this is exactly what your heart must learn to understand. You may be tired, you may be lost, you may be tempted to give in to doubt, fear, impatience. But these moments are silent tests of faith. They are not there to discourage you. They are there to strengthen your attachment, not to the person, but to the divine guidance that oversees this relationship. Because this bond, this presence, this soul that you continue to see appear and disappear in your life is never in your hands. It is in the hands of the one who sees the invisible, the one who knows what your heart can bear, the one who knows the exact moment when everything must come together. And this is where the depth of faith is revealed. Faith that does not depend on physical proximity, visible certainty, or immediate gratification. The faith that persists when everything seems distant, that continues to hope when the mind doubts, that continues to believe even when the heart bleeds. This faith is a silent testimony of your attachment to Allah, not to what you desire. It is this faith that transforms waiting into learning, absence into preparation, solitude into communion with the divine. Look at your doubts, look at your fears, and see them as trials designed to purify your intention. Every question you ask yourself, every worry you harbor, every fear you fight, these are mirrors of your soul. They show you how deeply your heart is attached not to the person themselves, but to the divine plan they represent. And it is in this recognition that true spiritual strength lies. Understanding that what returns, what persists, what is chosen for you, is always under the control of the one who never errs. Imagine for a moment your soul as a garden. Every trial is like falling rain. Every distance is an invisible ray of sunshine. Every absence is a seed planted in the fertile soil of your heart. These seeds grow slowly, patiently, until the perfect moment arrives. And then, everything you've endured, everything you've hoped for, everything you've mourned, transforms into perfect flowering. It's not instantaneous. It's not quick. But it is certain. And that is exactly where the persistence of the divine lies. And just when you think the cycle is infinite, that silence is eternal, and that returns are too slow, there is a subtle whisper, a silent presence, a reminder in your heart, and that whispers to you that everything is in motion, that everything is orchestrated, that nothing can be destroyed if it is meant for you. And this whisper, if you know how to hear it transforms fatigue into patience, doubt into trust, waiting into certainty. So when you feel you can no longer go on, when your mind grows tired of understanding, when your heart is on the verge of resignation, remember, it is not you who maintains this connection. It is not your desire or your expectation that preserves it. It is the will of Allah. And as long as God preserves it, nothing can extinguish it. Nothing can break it, nothing can divert it from its path to you. And it is there, in that silent breath, in that inner conviction, that your soul begins to perceive a greater truth, an understanding that your rational mind cannot yet grasp. Life sometimes presents us with connections we don't immediately understand. But what God continues to place in our path is never by chance. If this video touched you, if you feel that this message resonates with your heart, don't forget to leave a like, to share this light with someone who needs it, and above all, to subscribe to receive more spiritual guidance that nourishes the soul. Remember, what God chooses for you is always worth the wait.